Okay, looks like we're up and going. Let me check something first. All right, that's good. All right, we're up and going. Lesson 6. I mentioned previous lesson 4. I wasn't doing the savings lesson. As I said, that's kind of archaic these days. That, geez, I mean, that type of information really needs to be done on a more contemporary basis. There's plenty of sources and links and things I can send you to, probably that will all be done at a later date. Essential information. It is a part of my program, understanding financial aspects of your career, your life, right? Investing, being economically solvent through your working years into your retirement, right? Not taught well or taught extensively or correctly at many levels, certainly not in high school, college, kind of overlooked. A lot of stuff you're missing. It's really kind of sad. Even employers are saying, you can go through 16 years of education, high school, and get your your college degree, your diploma, bachelor's degree, and still you're lacking a lot. Okay, still missing a lot. And financial understanding, as far as I've known, as I've researched, a lot of people, so many of these experts, to say 90-95% of people don't retire properly or with enough money, right? So, and that's something that you can really work on and build considerably in your low risk years, when you're in your 20s, 30s, maybe even your 40s, right? You can do a little more risky investing that way. I'm an investor myself, but that's something that's probably not gone well. And also, just savings these days. You can put money into a savings account and you get like what, 0.5%, 1%. Meanwhile, inflation is 8%. So instead of losing 8%, you only lose 7% of your money. Yeah, nowadays you've got to invest. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Imagination. Why is imagination essential? Socrates, I call that man idle who might be better employed. There you go. That's using your imagination. If you're doing something, if you're undercutting yourself, right? And I think we've all done this at some time. Sometimes you can't avoid it, but you should be aware of it and working on not being in that situation, improving your situation where you're undercutting yourself, working in a job or being employed in something that is beneath you in the sense that you have much more knowledge and skill and experience than that job requires, right? Sadly, this is very common. If you go to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, about 60%, anytime from the 90s until contemporary times, well into the 2000s, it's been shown that 60% of people with college grads are working in jobs that don't even require a high school diploma. So that's crazy. That is crazy. I know there's a lot of people out in the general public that I know of, well-known people, clients of mine, students of mine, former students, family, friends, and others, right? This is all a lack of preparation. Believe me, I went through it too. I was totally unprepared. I didn't know. I wish I had older me, like older Spock. What was that? Star Trek 2009, when younger Spock meets older Spock, and older Spock has tons of great advice for him. And it's not that older people are smarter; they've gone through the garbage, and hopefully they've come out on the other end better for it, and learned something. But that's the difference, So, older people maybe more knowledgeable, sure, but that has to do with experience, know-how, just from having gone through it, gone through the grind, that type of thing. Imagination is the workshop of the human mind, wherein old ideas and established facts may be reassembled into new combinations and put to new uses. So this is kind of learning. This is learning, kind of. It is learning. Learning is a continuing process. You're learning, acquiring knowledge, data, facts, statistics, examples, theory, and so forth. And it's not stagnant, or it shouldn't be. If it is stagnant, you don't know what you're doing. You're not aware of what you're doing. You're doing something wrong. You've probably just went through the standard educational system, which really doesn't teach you any of this. You know, there's a flowing, growing, dynamic, ongoing process. And you probably took certain courses in school and were required to learn certain things, facts, examples, formulas, whatever. And you said to yourself, you know, how does this apply to my life in a practical sense, the real world? Well, a lot of times it doesn't. Yeah, I've gone over my kids' homework and my son, my daughter, and looked at what they're taught to learn. I don't know if it doesn't matter to educators sometimes what the content is or what they're learning. You know, just learn how to be disciplined and memorize stuff and commit stuff to memory. You know, if that's it, then that's not even a fraction. You're not even using education as it needs to be used. That's just a fraction of all education. It's really about, well, imagination. And intuition is a part of imagination. And what did Einstein say about intuition? Intuition is everything. Imagination, intuition, my trifold thinking process is based in critical thinking, creative, intuitive thinking, right? And intuition is huge, very important. Because as Einstein said, we only have so much time, we only have so much capacity. You know, we can't sit around and learn everything. Everything to learn is not out there, right? And if you learn a fraction of all that we know so far, you still have massive gaps. So at some point, you just have to put the books down, as Einstein said, and, you know, go with the flow. Use your imagination, use your intuition to solve or problem solve, come up with solutions. So the modern definition, hold on, modern definition, hold on. Getting home. All right, tangled with my wires here. All right, so here's the definition. I don't know what modern, well, 1920, it really hasn't changed much. The act of constructive intellect, excuse me, in grouping the materials of knowledge or thought into new, there you go, right? Original and rational systems, the constructive or creative faculty, embracing poetic, artistic, philosophic, scientific, and ethical imagination, right? Imagination or creativity or problem solving is really coming up with elegant solutions, useful solutions, practical application solutions that people can use. And sometimes the solution is just merely creative for entertainment, but sometimes the solution is there to solve an infrastructure problem or an understanding of disease better, or an understanding of physics and matter, the movement, shape, interaction of matter, right? The picturing power of the mind, the formation of mental images, pictures, or mental representation of objects or ideas, particularly of objects of sense, perception, of mathematical reasoning. Also, the reproduction and combination, usually with more or less irrational or abnormal modification of the images or ideas of memory or recalled facts of experience. Can you unpack it? Can you unpack all of that? Yeah. So it's basically what it is you have to, knowledge acquisition is important, right? But memorizing trivial knowledge or knowledge without a practical application or understanding of why you're learning that knowledge, and that's mostly school, right? PEMDAS, you know that one? The order of operations, which is somewhat arbitrary, and there are different ways in which you can order operations in mathematics, and also depends on the principles you're applying the order of operations to, or the maths, right? It's not cast in stone, right? Or chiseled in stone, right? I guess you could say. A lot of what one learns in school is knowledge that has been accepted, I guess, to a degree as factual and as useful, practical. Then again, kind of, because again, I've been to school. I went through high school, and I've read various curriculum and curricula throughout the my research when I was looking at education, especially primary education. And I've talked to many of my college students and engaged them and a back and forth on what they learned and what they've had. But a good portion, I don't want to say all, but a good portion of what is learned in high school is really not relevant to most people's experience, right? Math is one of them, right? Another day without algebra. Why are you learning algebra? And I'm not gonna get down on math or science. Both are very useful and practical, in the real world, right? But do all students need to learn math, especially those who have math phobia or an inconsistency or an inability to finish a math course or class, right? There was a case where one student, they put this student through a math class 7, 8 times, and she just couldn't pass, So it's like, leave her alone. Even if she passes the class, is she going to use math? No, that's not her forte. That's not her interest. That's not one of her strengths, right? So why are you forcing a round peg into a square hole, right? What is the problem? Let it go. Qualify her in some other way, shape, or form, right? Give her partial credit. Make her, I don't know, do something different rather than just, having one answer for all, right? Sadly, that's what education is, right? It's about the aggregate. We've got a certain pedagogical or teaching techniques, and we have certain outcomes that we want, and we want all our students to, be automatons, robots, right? And just everybody do the same, get the same outcomes, right? That's not going to happen. As we know, there's 8, 9 different intelligence types. School, basically, especially primary, secondary school, is geared towards 2 of those types: logic, math, science, right, and language, right? Logic and language are the 2 intelligence types that are emphasized. The other types are sprinkled about through the education system, primary, public education system, sure, but majority of classes are focused and geared toward logic and language. Okay. Anyways, back to the imagination. Has been called the creative power of the soul. Maybe that's why Einstein says, or links it to intuition. And intuition is based more in coming up, not having a clear or obvious connection or link between A and B. A is the problem, B is the solution. Find an elegant solution, right? That's why, for instance, theory of relativity, Einstein, right? It took him years to try to get that point across to others, to explain it to them. Many couldn't understand the math. Many couldn't understand conceptually what he was trying to get at. He was theory of relativity. That's when you've got. Remember the example of somebody on a train, and there's somebody walking by the train. Does time move faster for the person on the train or the person on the sidewalk walking? And there is an infinitesimally small differentiation, right? But at greater distances and greater speeds, that's where the theory of relativity comes in. There's greater and greater difference. Anyways, imagination is called the creative power of the soul, but this is somewhat abstract and goes more deeply into the meaning and is necessary from the viewpoint of a student of this course who wishes to use the course only as a means of attaining material or monetary advantages in life. And again, this is a course, right? Where these are courses, 16 of them, right? 16 lessons. Probably you could say 16 lessons in the overall course, I guess. I don't teach it. I really don't know it that well. I've gone through them multiple times, read through them, or read through the book, the text several times. I've written many articles on these concepts. And again, I use about 70, 80%. I understand them. and I've applied them to my life. But I don't teach these courses, right? Or these lessons, this course. If you're interested in taking this further, and this is essential stuff, I can tell you the components of these lessons, this course, it's got to have stuff, right? And that's why, it's almost 100 years old and it's still around, right? Have a 100-year anniversary in 5 years or 4 years, whatever. It's still around, right? People are still talking about it and using it. Why? It's good. It's kind of like the Bible, religious or not. That's a source that many people get something out of, even though you might not believe in imaginary people in the sky. That's the anti-religious people. But then again, you can't prove or not prove religion, right? It's impossible to prove that God exists or he doesn't exist. Because if he doesn't exist, how can you prove he's not there? Good luck. You're going to search through the entire universe, try to point out every nook and cranny. See, look, come with me. Come on our quest. Actually, there's probably more evidence that he does exist than he doesn't. But that's another place and time. If you have mastered and thoroughly understood the preceding lessons of this reading course, this is good. This is what good writers and good teachers do. I do it. There's a continuous going back, right? And a restating of what has been learned in specific, and also what is the overall concept or idea of what it is we're trying to do here, right? Because people forget, you got to keep connecting people, to the flow of what's going on and what has come, what is and what will come, and also, specifically from one point or one step to the next, as well as stepping back and looking at the overall view or overall concept, right? You got to keep those two things on the micro, macro. You got to keep those two things in mind, especially when you're reading, 1170, I think it is, page text. These lessons are very long. I don't go into all of them. You'll see me, skipping through at a certain point. It's like, well, I think you've got it. Let's skip, because I don't want to spend, 3, 4, 5 hours on each lesson. That's not the point. I'm just trying to give you an overview and also give you reason to believe or to see why these lessons are very important. Right? Anyway, preceding lessons of this course, know that the materials out of which you built your definite chief aim were assembled and combined in your imagination. So he's got these lessons in a particular order because one connects to the other, or there's a foundational or fundamental element to a preceding lesson or lessons that help build or support or build upon, and this is education, this is learning, right? That help build upon coming lessons or existing lessons, right? You also know that self-confidence, initiative, and leadership must be created in your imagination before they can become a reality. For it is in the workshop of your imagination that you will put the principle of auto-suggestion into operation in creating these necessary qualities. And again, I said before, and I think I might have to do that, to just maybe do some kind of, maybe Prezi or something like that. It's an online idea organizer, and it shows you through visual graphic representation, the order of ideas and the layout. And the thing about Prezi is you can get the overall big look, the big picture look, and then you can go zero in on a couple or half or whatever, and then go into each one and go and zoom in and out, basically, right? And that's education, right? That's what he's doing here, right? He's zooming in on a particular lesson. Now he's zooming out, showing how this lesson applies to the previous lessons, right? Definite chief aim, initiative and leadership, self-confidence, right? That's how you learn. That's how you become smart. In order to become smart, you have to know how to be smart, how to get smart. Get smart. Good movie. That was a television show, actually, in the beginning. This lesson on imagination might be called the hub of this reading course. There you go. Foundation, just like the one of the foundational elements of thick-based placard is intuition, right? Or it's called Dharma, right? Dharma is basically what you're supposed to be doing at any particular moment, right? Any particular second, minute, hour, day, week, month, whatever. right? What's your dharma? You know, intuitively you should know. So dharma is kind of synonymous with intuition and imagination. Interesting that thick-faced Blackheart, intuition is at the foundation of that tool, thick-faced Blackheart, which is a tool, a goal-attaining tool, right? That's what this is. This is a goal-attaining tool, right? So interesting that there's a connection there, right? I just made a connection, right? That's imaginative insight. And you'll notice that I'm taking from my knowledge base, but I'm connecting ideas that probably have rarely or if ever been connected before, right? And that is the stuff of knowledge or new information, new insight. And knowledge is nothing more than new insight, new facts, new research, new data, right? But anyway, so dharma, intuition, really. And here we're talking about the foundation is imagination, which is creativity. And creativity cannot function without intuition, right? So it makes sense that, interestingly enough, right? Just like there's a book out there by a Harvard biology professor, name eludes me, but it's Concessions of Consilience. And what he looks at is, you know, the big question, kind of like Douglas Adams, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Remember when the people asked the computer, you know, what is the meaning of life and everything? What is the meaning of life, the universe, and everything, right? And they asked the computer, and the computer, a million years later, comes up with the answer, 40. Something only a computer would come up with, right? It's probably like a digital code, binary code, right? 40. Was that 4 ons and 1 off? The hell, what? What does that mean, right? And it's a joke, right? That something that complicated would be simplified. You know, there's Occam's razor, right? The best answer is usually the simplest answer. Not true. But anyways, people want it to be simple, and people pray for it to be simple, and people oversimplify stuff because they're lazy, right? Anyways, I'm getting off the beaten path here. This lesson on imagination might be called the hub of this reading course, and we told you why. Because every lesson of the course leads to this lesson that makes use of the principles upon which it is based, principle. Just as all the telephone wires lead to the exchange office for their source of power. You will never have a definite purpose in life. You will never have self-confidence. You will never have initiative and leadership unless you first create these qualities in your imagination and see yourself in possession of them. So that's what he's talking about when he talks about the power of suggestion, the power of imagining, your vision board. Yeah. You got to see it first. You have to have definitions. Most people go through life as, I'm going to go to college. Why? Get a job. I've heard it's good. Degree, bachelor's, get a degree. No, you don't want a degree. You don't know anything about a degree. You get a degree, why? If you can't tell me why you're getting a degree specifically for you, then don't do it. I can tell you why. I probably know more about why you do stuff than you do, right? Because I've really looked at this stuff over and over again. Plus, I've dealt with a lot of clients and students, so I'm well practiced. This old head, damn kids with their old head. Old head doesn't get it. I'm much happier being an old head than a young head, because back then I was messed up, didn't know anything, and I was a fool. Still a fool, just not so foolish. A little more in control of things, right? Anyways, so hub, right? That's good. You will never have any of that stuff, right? It comes from imagination. Everything, and I've talked about this before, everything that exists out there in the great wide world, universe, galaxies, universe, right? It began somewhere. These letters began in somebody's head. This couch, this computer, this phone, these streets, this city, town, landscape, house, family. It all began here. Some say, you know, if there is a God, if you believe that imaginary people live in the sky floating on clouds, Some say that even the Earth and all the animals and everything that's been created in the universe began in the great intelligence, right? And some scientists believe wholeheartedly that there is a greater intelligence out there because of the complexity of the laws and the principles that hold us all together. Why does the Earth spin on its axis just at a certain angle, just at a certain speed, a certain degree? If you go off a degree or two, we're going to either burn up or freeze to death. But the Earth just stays that way. Who put it there? Just far enough from the sun to use the sun to heat things, but and not to get too hot, but not too cold. Just right, more or less, right? Who set it up like that? How does it stay that way? Or your physiology, right? Doctors, if you got sick or something, they know a particular procedure or methodology or medication to get you kind of back up on to where you need to be, but it doesn't always work, and they don't know why. Sometimes it works better on some than others, or why certain miraculous things occur with certain patients, and with others it doesn't happen. So there's some great intelligence, overall intelligence, that many who are worth their humility in dollars or cents or gold are aware of this, right? And the great thinkers are aware of great intelligence, right? That formed massed, what's the word I'm looking for? Formed, designed, constructed, I guess you could say, and has maintained the existence, the laws of matter, the laws of dynamics, motion, heat, all those laws. Where'd they come from? And how come they're so detailed? And how come they're so work together so well? Again, I don't know this. I'm just telling you what scientists say, right? Imagination is both, last line there. Imagination is both interpretive and creative in nature. It can examine facts, concepts, ideas, and it can create new combinations and plans out of these. So if you want to make the big money, imagination, critical, creative, intuitive thinking. Critical, creative, intuitive thinking. The people who can master those three things make the most money, are in the most demand, probably have the most interesting and satisfying lives. I'm just saying. Through its interpretive capacity, the imagination has one power not generally attributed to it, namely the power to register vibrations. Here he goes with the vibration stuff, remember? I'm not a big fan of the vibration concept, but and thought waves that are put into motion from, again, this is the law of attraction. If I, visualize enough a certain spouse, a certain home, a certain career, a certain whatever, I want a Porsche. I just think, or I'm a kid and I want a bike. There's examples of both in the film, the movie, The Secret, where a kid, imagines a bike and he gets one. Or where the person imagines a Porsche, visualize, call it. Or there's another case where a guy comes to a parking lot, there's no parking, and he imagines parking space becoming available, and one becomes available. Seems a little new agey and hokey to me. That's kind of religion right there, like Dr. Strange using his magical powers, calling on the old spirits, the old ones to assist me. That's what magic is. If you're a occultist, you're a witch or a warlock. I'm sorry, wizard. I think wizard is the male witch, right? Some say warlock. I think that's wrong. Witch or warlock, right? Those are the magicians who use the old ones in nature. That's the pantheistic religion that talks about or utilizes nature, calling upon nature, and the old ones, or the spirits that reside in the brooks and the streams and the trees, right? To do things, to call on them to do certain favors. But some say that it's pantheist. You know who Pan is? Right? Half goat, half man, kind of a little devilish. So witchcraft, why isn't it called wizardcraft? Wizardry, I guess. But witches, those two are really separated in folklore. I don't know why, but they're much more connected. Maybe, I don't know why. But anyways, Why didn't they, they used to burn witches at the stake. Why not wizards? Was it political? Hmm. Anyways, I'm getting a little off the beaten path here, but anyways, just as radio receiving apparatus picks up the vibrations and so forth, telepathy is an important factor to a student who's preparing to make effective use of imagination. Telepathy, vibrations, thought waves. I'm not going to get into that, again, not my lessons. So, but anyways, imagination is critical, right? And the stuff that he said previous to this, where I think he gets a little off the beaten path, gets a little into pseudoscience, Yeah, if that's your thing, I know there's a woman that I met, and I worked with her, associated with her a bit through seminars and webinars and stuff, and we exchanged information for some time. And she's a numerologist, and she's pretty successful. Some people are really into that. What's your charts? What's your numbers? Not my thing, but some people really believe that stuff and they invest in it. If that's you for this, so I'm not going to take you there. Not my thing. So I can't take you where I don't go. So let's move on. Right. Radio apparatus. 15 factors upon which reading is based. Consider, for example, what happens when a salesman lacks confidence. Now he's giving examples. Principle telepathy. So perhaps these explanations are somewhat abstract to the student who has not made any particular study of the functioning process of the mind, but it seems necessary to inject them into this lesson as a means of enabling the student to understand and make practical use of the subject. Imagination is too often regarded merely as an indefinite, untraceable, indescribable something that does nothing but create fiction, right? Science fiction, or a type of written or visual form of imagined stories, right? This popular disregard of the powers of imagination has made necessary these more or less abstract references to one of the most important subjects of this course. Not only is the subject of imagination an important factor in this course, it is one of the most interesting subjects, as you will observe when you begin to see how it affects all that you do toward the achievement of your definite chief aim, right? You will see how important is the subject of imagination when you stop to realize that it is the only thing in the world over which you have absolute control. Now, are these things true? Do you believe in this? Is this a little bit of pseudoscience, a little bit of folklore, a little bit of mumbo jumbo? You be the judge. I don't know. I guess for some people it works, right? And if you don't believe in it, it's about conceive, believe, execute, right? That's generally what you got to do in order to get things done, right? Conceive a goal, believe a goal, and execute it, right? If you don't conceive it, where are you going? You got no path, you got no map, right? And if you don't believe in it, how are you going to achieve it? So conceive, believe, achieve, right? It's kind of what he's doing here, yes? Men may deal with you unfairly, as men often do. Humans, you see, this is old, it's a little sexist, right? People, right, may deal. They may deprive you of your liberty, but they cannot take from you the privilege of using your imagination. So this is what is often used when one is dealing with being a prisoner, right? You can take my body, you can take my time, you can restrict my liberty, but you can't take my soul, right? There's a poem she talks about. He's given more examples. Man who slanders his fellow man unwittingly uncovers the real nature of his inner self, right? Again, that's coming from weakness. Why are you trying to take down other people, right? There's libel and slander, right, in the written and the spoken, right? Why are you trying to take down other people? If you're really got it going on in here, and you're all working for the best and being positive in here, your main objective should be to lift. People are going to talk bad about you. People are going to try to take you down. But if you spend a lot of time trying to get retribution or revenge, you're wasting your time, and you only have so much time and so much focus and so much energy. You're wasting over here. Yeah. Let the authorities take care of it, or just ignore that person, right? My favorite thing to do, online, offline, block, delete. You're done. Right? Don't waste your energy, your time, your soul, your emotions, your inner capacity, your light, your inner light, happiness, contentment. Don't go there. Go to the light. Don't look at the darkness. Right? Remember that Poltergeist? Go to the light. Stop looking at the scary darkness. Go to the light. And somebody was it Martin Luther King? It's a well-known concept, but with faith and with purpose and with belief, if there's darkness, one steps into the darkness, and you are the light, so the darkness will recede. Right? You are the light if you're bringing light. Right? Light makes right. It's might. I don't know where that came from. But anyway, step into the, if you are light, might, right, just, true. That's why truth will take things down, chop down the opponents with great precision and energy, tenacity in the light, right? Yeah, you're going to step into the dark and you're light, so the dark will run away. Yeah, that's religion, right? Wasn't it that Christ, when he came upon possessed beings, like he took what was it? There was legions of devils. I remember my catechism, right? There were legions of devils and bad spirits in a man, and they said, "What do you want with us?" Right? We know who you are, right? And they were scared, right? Because the big light was coming. Here comes the big light. Here comes the big hell. Run, right? And he tossed them out into a pig. He said, "Don't just throw out, put us into a body, because they don't want to just go back into nothing." But what's weird was he put him into the pig, and then the pig just runs off a cliff and dies. I guess evil is not smart. That's what they say, right? Anyways, civilization itself owes its existence to such men as Leigh Hunt, in whose fertile imagination have been pictured the higher and nobler standards of human relationship. Abu Ben Adam is a poem that will never die, thanks to this man who pictures an imagination, a hope, an ideal that is constructive, right? So, he's talking about the light, right? The power of positivity. There's not much energy or many people going to the dark side. Darth Vader, sure, you probably have to follow him, but it'll kill you if you don't, right? Dark side, right? So pure evil doesn't care about you. You've seen the movies, right? All the bad guys. You think the bad guys are loving you and helping you out in time of need? No, you work for them. They don't like you. They'll just shoot you. You're an example. You're being a jerk. You didn't do that right. Yeah. Obey my power or die. That's the dark. The light is much more patient, much more forgiving, much more inclusive, love, acceptance, tolerance, right? Go to the light. Be the light. Mob psychology. Let's look at this example. He's going through some examples now. So you have often heard of the mob psychology, which is nothing more nor less than some strong, dominating idea that has been created in the mind of one or more persons and registers itself in the minds of other persons through the principle of telepathy. I don't know if that's true. I think it's often communicated verbally or through physical punishment or threat. Right? Mob psychology. So strong is the power of mob psychology, but there's some truth to that, right? That two men fighting in the street will often start a free-for-all fight in which bystanders will engage each other in battle without even knowing what they're fighting about. This is what people do online, right? I just have an inkling, a feeling that what this person's talking about is right. I hate X. I love Y, right? And the specifics about what you're saying or what happened or whatever, really not paying much attention to. It's just a feeling, right? Right. That what does it call it? Vibrations or sensations, right? The sixth sense that you have, intuition, right? You get caught up in that mob mentality, right? And that's how many people believe things, And we also have a desire to be of a particular group. Most of us are not strong or have much energy or ability to get far or too far or do too much without other people. So we join clubs, we join parties, we join organizations, right? And sometimes you get caught up in those things and you become a part of the club, the organization, or whatever, and you just start absorbing their perspective on things. You don't argue, you don't question. You know, I grew up as a Christian. Not that I'm saying I did. Well, I did actually. I grew up in a blue state, Connecticut, Christian, Democrat, middle upper class, generally white community. You know, with a family, with a particular culture, a certain familial culture, that's passed down from family to family. You know, certain political bents, spiritual, emotional, religious, right? And you just grow up in that. You start picking up. It's like language. Kids don't sit down and try to go, how do I specifically, learn these words? What, how's that spell out? You said something. You just pick it up through osmosis, kind of absorb it, right? Language. And that's how we learn our most of our, or acquire a lot of our personality or beliefs, right? Just pick it up through the environments. No, it's not necessarily vibrations, but we watch what people do and say and think and feel and how they interact, where they go, who they're with, and we become our family, our parents, whatever, or the strong, influential forces. Right. Armistice Day. Let's see. So he's going again. I'm going to skip down to the last paragraph. We will bring the application of this principle a little nearer home by showing how it may be made to make or break their harmonious working relationship of the business or industries, right? So he goes into that. Now he's kind of going for a little more concrete example or application, right? Apply the principle in another way. Place among a group of workers one person whose personality is of the positive, optimistic type, and who makes it his business to sow the seeds of harmony around the place where he works, and his influence will reflect itself in every person who works with him. So this is why I say, I believe this. Now this is true. This is why I limit what I watch and what I listen and what I read, where I go and who I associate, or with whom I associate, right? If I'm just randomly turning on the TV, going on the internet, turning on the radio, walking outside, hanging out at certain places randomly, without a plan, without any perception or thought to it, you're going to get in trouble, right? There's going to be influences that seep into you unknowingly, right? And there's a whole psychology behind this. I'm not going to go into it. Maybe someday, maybe that's another lesson or video. I got too much to do, but anyways, tons of things, right? What was I saying? So yeah, you get influenced by and some are influenced more or less by others. Some are influenced so badly by things or so severely by things, they might go out and harm people or kill people because they're so highly influenced by or very, very open to suggestion, right? Not enough independence of thought or stability of character, to overcome influence, right? But you are influenced. I don't care who you are, what you are, how smart you are, or how aware you are of influence. So you want to read certain stuff, or like when I'm in the car, I don't listen to radio. It's all podcasts. It's usually uplifting stuff, spiritual stuff, historical, political stuff contemporary that's going on. So I want to be informed, especially when I'm making political choices. I don't have cable or satellite TV. I have certain things that I listen to. And most of the time it's informational. Other times it's entertaining. I like music. So I listen to people react to certain music from my era, old head music, and other stuff like that. So I'm controlling, right? Even online, I don't just sit around browse for hours, or whatever. Flip through channels. That's boring. That's counterproductive, right? Where were we? Apply the principle in another way. Place among a group of workers one person whose personality is of the positive. Oh, we did that one. Sorry. The next one if every business is the extended shadow of one man, as Emerson stated, then it behooves that one man to reflect the shadow of competence. Behooves, it would be advised to, that's an old word. I guess people still use that, right? You would be advised. Then it behooves that one man to reflect a shadow of confidence, a good cheer, and optimism and harmony, that these qualities may in turn reflect themselves in all who are connected with the business, right? So that's good. That's influence. Is that a part of imagination? Not really per se, right? But that's influence. I don't know what chapter or section that would belong to, but and I use that concept or that principle in my program, and I teach it to my clients and students. This chapter is long; it's like 60-something pages. So again, I don't want to get bogged down in all the particulars. The process through which this is done is called imagination. We have stated that imagination is both interpretive and creative. So interpretive is problem solving, and creative is solution. Right? It can receive impressions or ideas, and out of these, it can form new combinations. As our first illustration of the power of imagination in modern business achievement, we will take the case of Clarence Sanders' Piggly Wiggly system of self-help grocery stores. Piggly Wiggly, Piggly Wiggly. I think those were old. Were those around with my parents or maybe my grandparents' time? I don't know. Piggly Wiggly changed stores. Not going to go through those examples. It will make a big difference to you whether you are a person with a message or a person with a grievance. Yeah, don't complain. Again, that's going to the dark side, right? And this person and there and that and this thing and that and our government and our education and this person, these people and this group and you can do that till the end of the time, all day, to the end of time, complain, So I would prefer me personally. I don't know about you. To each his own. I would prefer to be a person of message. That's what I'm doing now, right? Informing, helping, aiding, bringing people to the light, bringing them out of the dark, dampness, the cold, the dark, the damp, into the light. I'll get to record. I'm gonna probably put that lady's voice. Go to the light. Poltergeist, the little lady. I think she's like about 3 feet tall, 4 feet tall. Maybe. Right. Sorry for the short people. Anyways, Sanders talking more about now he does the Edison. When Thomas A. Edison invented the incandescent electric light bulb, he merely brought together 2 old, well-known principles and associated them in a new combination. It's interesting that something so simple and already established, I guess. I don't remember this, but it's a bulb made of glass, and a little filament in there. That when you put at the base, you got electrical. You got a metal piece, right? It's a conductor. So it's going to conduct the electricity through to the filament. Then the filament's going to light up. Bulb, filament, metal conductor. Why did that take 1,000 tries, right? And it's probably not so much the concept, but the doing of it in the real world, getting it to function is what probably, and I don't know, I'm just guessing, inferring, getting it to function and the construction, the material construction of that device, the bulb, the light bulb, to get it to work right. That's probably, it's not so much the conceptual. I got that, but usually problem solving, most of the people can imagine their minds, but actually getting it to work in reality. Yeah, like in Hollywood, especially before they had all the CGI stuff. Now I saw one guy was talking about using AI, and he said he created an alien by saying he just put actors into a film or video or a section, small piece. He said make them aliens, and the AI made each one just design. I don't know, using CGI, of course, design each one to be an alien, right? And he didn't have to go through the long, laborious process of going frame by frame, element by element to design it, right? Interesting stuff. A little scary, because then it gets to future sci-fi times, right? We'll see what happens. Mr. Edison, practically all others who were informed on the subject of electricity, knew that a light could be produced by heating a small wire. So there's your element, right? But the difficult problem was to do this without burning the wire in two. So I guess that's what I'm saying. So conceptually, you know it, right? But to get it to work in reality, probably trying to find an element that would stay lit and not burn up. That was probably the biggest problem. I don't think the vacuum created to keep the thing lit in there was maybe as big a problem, but probably just as, what type of elements, are needed to get that thing to burn and not burn up, right? And it's amazing how long I got light bulbs here, we got light bulbs all over the place. It's amazing how long those things last. So the design is really well done, but it's probably because it took 1,000 tries to make that design that was conceptually easier to do than to make it in the practical real world, right? In experimental research, Mr. Edison tried out every conceivable sort of wire. So there you go. There's your 1,000 attempts, like I said, right? I'm smart, kind of, hoping to find some substance that would withstand the tremendous heat, right? His invention was half completed, but it was of no practical value until he could find the missing link. Applied it at half after 1,000 tests. Thousands. I thought it was 1,000, right? And much combining of all the ideas in his imagination. I've heard 10,000, but I thought it was, I don't know if he means 100, hundreds. I don't know. Anyways, a lot. Many. Edison finally found the missing link. In his study of physics, he had learned, as all other students of the subject learned, that there could be no combustion without the presence of oxygen. Right. He, of course, knew that the difficulty with his electrical light apparatus was the lack of a method through which to control the heat, which it occurred to him there could be no combustion where there was no oxygen. He placed the little wire electric light apparatus inside a glass globe, shut out all the oxygen, and lo, the mighty incandescent light was a reality. Wow, there you go. Andrew Carnegie, another example. Charles Schwab. These are the people that he interviewed. Edison, he spoke to Edison, so probably got more insight to what they did, in their careers. Carnegie, he spoke to. Schwab, I forgot what Schwab. Oh, steel. He was a steel magnet, right? This young man, some years ago, Thomas Edison. A young man wrote to Thomas Edison for a position. For some reason, he's giving a lot of examples, right? Reason Mr. Edison did not reply, by no means discouraged on this account. The young man made up his mind that he would not only get a reply, but what was more important, he would actually secure the position. And I've heard of this happening, and this has been suggested by many career life coaches, right? Just don't take no as an answer. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it really does. There was another case. It was a recent example, a recent situation. Maybe it'll come to me in a minute. But the person just, wouldn't take no, right? And the employer or potential employer was really annoyed and put off at first. But after a while, they said, you know what? We don't have anybody here like this guy. This guy's insane with the stick-to-itiveness of it all. This guy's got some insane work ethic, right? If he's committed to something, he's going to get it done. I think maybe I want to hire this guy. I don't even know what he does. I don't care. Have him filing reports. Just get him in here, and then we'll find something for him, right? So by using an imagination, you can read the example. Mr. Barnes saw the advantage of close association with a man like Thomas Edison. He saw that such an association would give him the opportunity to study this Edison. Same time, it would bring him into contact. And a lot of people do this now. People who are looking to get established in their field will oftentimes go out of their way to keep contacting people who can help them. Oh, I think of Frank Herbert, who wrote the Dune trilogy, right? He sent his book out to every known publishing company out there for fiction. Nothing. Eventually, he sent it to a car parts, something auto industry publisher. publishing magazines in the auto industry, and he got it put in there, or got it published through that publisher. His book published through the auto publisher. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's always different paths to success, right? But that just comes through commitment, right? Believe, conceive, achieve. That type of thing. Roosevelt engraved his name on the tablets of time by one single act during his tenure of office as President of the United States. And after all else that he did while in that office will have been forgotten, this one transaction will record him in history. He started the steam shovels to work on the Panama Canal. Right. Well, that's a good one. Because the Panama Canal cut down that distance. They used to have to go all the way around South America, right? To get, imagine that, right? All the way around South America to get to, maybe even if you're going by ship, but that would be crazy. Better to go by train. But anyways, if you're going to the Orient or something in that direction, all the way around, so it takes way much more time, right? So if they cut that time in half, or by whatever, half or more, go through the canal, right? That was huge in helping the United States become much more economically productive, right? And I didn't know about that. So you learn something old. People say, I learned something new. Well, it's new to you, but it's been around a while. And you got to change. So the reason most people do not like to hear the story of your troubles is that they have a big flock of their own. That's why I don't really talk to too much people about those things. Let's see. If your imagination is the mirror of your soul, then you have a perfect right to stand before that mirror and see yourself as you wish to be. Again, that's imagining, visualizing, all that stuff, right? That's good. How far you want to take it, up to you. You have the right to see reflected in that magic mirror the mansion you intended to own. So this is visualization, right? The factory you intend to manage, the bank of which you intend to be president, the station in life you intend to occupy. Your imagination belongs to you. Use it. The more you use it, the more effectively it will serve you. So, conceive, believe, execute. So conceive and believe are the kind of in the brain stuff, and execute is the more outside of you doing. Right? I conceive the concept of a book. I believe in the concept of my book. I'm going to go to the publishers, and I went to every publisher. I'm not going to go to automotive publishers. Why don't I just go beyond standard thinking, right? And kind of push it beyond the norm, that type of thing, right? The imagination. He saw the bridge grow before his very eyes, and still he lacks the imagination to analyze that which he saw. Right. What else we have? Through recent experiments in the department, he's doing a lot of exemplification examples, right? And the Department of Electricity, one of our great educational institutions in America, has discovered how to put flowers to sleep and wake them up again with electric sunlight. This discovery makes possible the growth of vegetables, flowers without the aid of sunshine. In a few more years, the city dweller will be raising a crop of vegetables on his back porch with the aid of a few boxes, dirt, a few electric lights, and so forth, right? Bottom paragraph, a man of imagination came to this city. Men of imagination usually have keen minds, and this man was no exception. So it seems to be that when you really push yourself, get yourself out of your comfort zone, and this is what high achievement is about, maybe scaring the crap out of yourself and doing stuff that you couldn't imagine, going to an auto publisher, driving 3,000 miles across country, leaving family and friends, whatever it is, living in your car for a while if need be to get something done. He made a substantial fortune for what? For removing some dirt from where it was not needed to where it was needed. For mixing some useless dirt with imagination. Chemistry, there's another example. One of the great highways between New York and Philadelphia stood an old ramshackle, time-worn barn worth less than $50. With the aid of a little bit of lumber and some cement plus imagination, this old barn has been turned into a beautiful automobile supply station that earns a small fortune with a man who supplied with imagination. And stuff like this is happening all the time. I know I am here. I know I had nothing to do with my coming, and I shall have but little, if anything, to do with my going. Therefore, I will not worry, because worries are of no avail. There you go. Right. Control what you can control, which is a very small amount. Do what you can do, and the rest, just leave it alone. Don't worry about it. More examples. You will never know what is your capacity for achievement until you learn how to mix your efforts with imagination. The products of your hands minus imagination will yield you but a small return, but those same hands, when properly guided by imagination, can be made to, and that's your intuition. Properly guided by imagination, right? And imagination relies on intuition to guide the imagination. Where'd you go? Well, I imagined my book getting published, but nobody wants to publish it. Let me make a leap in logic. Go to my intuition. Let me make a leap. Let me make a leap in logic and go to my intuition. How about other publishers? How about automotive publishers? What? You're nuts. And then he did that, and he became a hugely successful published author, right? You've probably seen the movies, Dune movies. There was one with Sting that was made many years ago. Another one came out now. It's in a series. I think it's on Netflix, right? Spider-Man's girlfriend. What's her name? Zendaya. Isn't that right? Anyways, Andrew Carnegie. What else we got? Mr. Carnegie, Mr. Carnegie. A lot of examples. A few years ago, I was invited. He gives another example. Again, you can read through these. I'm not going to read through this. I had a definite purpose in mind, chief aim. So now he's going back. So that's the thing. He's not going to just teach you, and this is useful knowledge. You don't just learn something and forget it, right? You learn something and build upon it. There's all these intertwining and connecting threads that run throughout all these lessons, right? Not only did I have mind securing his release, but I intended to do it in such a way that his release would erase from his breast the scarlet letter of conduct and so forth, right? If you have been wise and successful, I congratulate you. Unless you are unable to forget how successful you have been, then I pity you. That's strange. Why would you want to forget how successful you've been, right? Don't get caught up in your own success and your own print, in your own hype, right? That type of thing. Don't believe your own hype. And if you get too caught up into it, your ego gets inflated. Realize that most success is very short-lived. In the Forbes 400, the 400 most successful people, within 10 years, 20 to 30%, if not more, of those successful people no longer on that Forbes 400 richest people list. Why? Because things come and go, right? You used to have Blockbuster, Hollywood Video, and then what happened? Along came Netflix. You used to have a lot of bookstores, like B. Dalton Bookstore went out of business. Why? Amazon. People were buying books more through Amazon than bookstores, right? So Sears used to be a very huge department store back in the day. Now, pretty much all gone, right? Ideas come and go. What was the other one? There was a Walmart that's still around, but there was another one that's kind of gone by the wayside. That was a pretty popular department store. I can't think of it now. Anyways, yeah, it's going through more examples here. Why then had the others who asked for his release failed? Prisoner, right? They failed because they used no imagination. So it seems to me, especially when you're running into serious problems or attempting to achieve or do something of something big, right? Of great important impact. Solutions are not easy, and solutions are not handed to you. That's why Einstein said, intuition is everything, which is a component of creation, which is a component of problem solving, imagination. He's using a lot of examples. Again, I apologize for these personal references with the explanation that I've used them only because the whole of America was familiar with the B case. Again, this is old stuff, so I'm not going to go through that case, right? Because it's not familiar to you. I just claim all credit for the small part I played in the case, for I did nothing except use my imagination and so forth, right? Men will grant favors that you request for the benefit of a third person when they would not grant them if requested for your benefit. True. Yeah, there's a part of the imagination at work, right? Well, you don't want to do it for me, then do it for your son. You don't want to do it for me, do it for your son. You don't want to do it for me, then do it for your child. Do it for the children. Don't do it for me, do it for the children, right? That type of thing. I never see a person trying to disclose the scarlet letter on another's breast that I do not wonder if he didn't carry some mark of disgrace which would have been ruined him had he been overtaken by justice. True. Right. So that's an element that's used a lot in politics, distraction. If I do something bad, it's deflection. Don't look over here, look over there. I did it, sure, but I'm going to accuse you. Look, right? That person is a fill in the blank. Not me. That person is a fill in the blank. Not me. Deflection. And that's underhanded. That's cowardly. That's weak. That's thievery, I guess. A lot of examples. He's not using a lot of conceptual statements. Dr. Frank Crane, Woolworth. There's Woolworth. That was an old department store. I was writing an novel, endless examples. There are a few people who direct their imaginations in the vain attempt to work out a way to show what happens when an immovable body comes in contact with an irresistible force. But these types belong in the psychopathic hospitals. Really? Who direct their imagination in vain attempt to work out a way of showing what happens when an immovable body comes in contact with an irresistible force. Don't know what he means by that. Time and imagination teach us many things, but nothing of more importance than this, that all men, people, are much alike in many ways. True. And that's where thick-faced black heart comes into play, right? To really understand yourself. Or the typology test, right? Briggs-Myers typology test. There's basically 16 different personalities. There's some uniqueness, but there's also a lot of overlapping, right? I mean, we all have basic Maslow. Talked about that before. There's certain commonalities. We all have basic needs. You know, we need to breathe. We need to eat. We need to be clothed and sheltered. We need contact with people. We need people in our lives. We need loved ones and so forth, right? And then eventually you get to the self-actualization, the top of that pyramid where you're fulfilling yourself, your inner self, right? And that's kind of what my coaching is all about. Most of the rest of the stuff you have to take care of. I work for the actualization of the individual. We all like commendation, being recognized, and many of us like flattery, but it is a debatable question as to whether the indulgence of these tendencies builds character and strength, and individual doesn't, right? That's why I said, you know, if you're constantly going around looking for respect, or if you're constantly trying to get revenge, you're weak. Build this in here, right? Build this in here. This should be stalwart. This should have a lot of integrity. You shouldn't be infantile and childish and weak. That's what little kids do. You know, I need to be constantly praised. Oh, you're smart. You're great. You're so forth and so on, right? If you really got it going on in here, you don't need that. Some people never grow out of it. They don't work on building an inner foundation, right? But you gotta, and there's things you can do. That's part of my program. Every person, there's some interesting concepts in here. Every person should be somewhat of a dreamer. Every business needs the dreamer. Every industry profession needs them. But the dreamer must be also a doer. Conceive, believe, execute. Right? That's the doer part. Or else you must form an alliance with someone who can and does translate dreams into reality. I guess maybe you can get somebody, pay somebody to do it, be the doer. That was what's his name? Stephen Jobs, right? He was a marketer, right? Ed Wozniak was the doer. Stephen Jobs would come up with the ideas, and he would say to the engineer, Ed Wozniak, "Hey, I want this, I want that. Can you design this? Can you make this, that?" Right? And Stephen Jobs was doing the building the idea, conceiving and believing part, right? And also marketing and selling, which is the majority of the thing, right? Business. You can have a great product, but if you don't market or sell it to the right people the right way, it doesn't go anywhere. Your definite chief aim can be speedily translated into reality after you have fashioned it in the cradle of your imagination. Nice metaphor, visual. If you have faithfully followed the instructions set down for your guidance in lesson 2, you are now well on your road towards success, right? The battle for the achievement of success is half won when one knows definitely what is wanted. Yes. That's why you have to have definitions, which is a huge thing, right? Define yourself, understand the specifics about yourself, your personality type, your intelligence type, your learning style, so forth and so on, blah, 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 right? And then once you understand that, what are your basic strengths, innate natural tendencies? What did you come here to this earth with? What are the basic inclinations, natural tendencies they have? Desires, hopes, dreams, wants, needs, right? And you work all that, right? And then you start figuring out, where do I apply all this? To what job, to what career, to what reality, right? The selection of a definite chief aim calls for the use of both imagination and decision. The power of decision grows with use. Prompt decision and forcing the imagination to create a definite chief aim renders more powerful the capacity to reach decisions in other matters. Adversity and temporary defeat are generally blessings in disguise, true. The reason that they force one to use both imagination and decision. So that's kind of the pulling out of you that I talked about, the pulling forth, right? You really can't flex or build that imagination or decision-making or any of the potential in you unless you have adversity and challenges come along. Then you got to dig deep, right? That's what they talk, dig deep. Okay. This is why a man usually makes a better fight when his back is to the wall, right? People who really get stuff done, what? Through inspiration and desperation, right? He then reaches the decision to fight instead of running. Imagination is never quite so active as it is when one faces some emergency calling for quick, definite decision action. In these moments of emergency, men have reached decisions, built plans, used their imagination, and this is where entrepreneurs come along. You think entrepreneurs are about only being in a very up market, productive market? No. They profit best in a down market when there's a lot of problems, and they come up with solutions. Entrepreneurs, right? In such a manner that they become known as geniuses. Many a genius has been born out of necessity or unusual stimulation of the imagination. Necessity, right there you go. As the result of some trying experience which forced quick thought and prompt decision. Give any man something to do that he likes to do and keep him busy doing it, and he will not be apt to degenerate into a disorganized force. Yeah, it's about motivation. It's about knowing yourself. It's about tapping into your inner self. What's in there? Me. I'm not going to be an artist, visual artist. Draw. I can't draw. I'm not going to be a doctor. Doesn't really interest me. Or mathematician. Interesting to an extent, but to make it my life's goal or hour to hour, minute to minute thing, not there, right? So you got to tap into it and find out what it is. Here we got some more examples. We cannot sow thistles and reap clover. Nature simply does not run things that way. She goes by cause and effect, right? Reality. Follow the science. Follow the facts. Don't imagine or make up stuff. You live in an imaginary world, it's going to crumble. Some people do. Yeah, they live there maybe for a while, but my name is Harper. Another example, right? I think we're almost at the end. Let me read this. The law of success philosophy was the embryonic stage long before it had been organized into a systematic course of instruction and reduced to textbooks. The author was lecturing on this philosophy in a small town in Illinois. One of the members of the audience was a young life insurance salesman who had but recently taken up that line of work. After hearing what was said on the subject of imagination, he began to apply what he had to his problem selling life insurance. Something was said during the lecture about the value of allied effort, through which men may enjoy greater success by cooperative effort, the mind, right? Working with others, the secret of working with like minds or better minds, I guess you would say. Through working arrangement under which each boosts the interest of the other. That's good. Charlie Chaplin makes $1 million a year out of a funny shuffling walk and a pair of baggy trousers because he does something different. Take the hint and individualize yourself with some distinctive idea. Oh, that's another one. There is a I think he's still a well-known is it Earl Nightingale? He might be dead for all I know, honestly. And he said, if you see a lot of people in a particular discipline or workforce market or whatever, if you see all the people doing this, then do something else. What do you mean something else? Well, really, for all intents and purposes, anything other than what they're doing. Figure it out, shoot the name, figure it out as you go, right? So you got to do something different, right? I mean, if everybody out there has a music reaction channel or tries to be like X or Y or Z that already exists, that exists in droves, right? If everybody's trying to influence by influencing the exact same way, then where's the influence, right? It just becomes a commonality, right? Bottom there, financial success is not difficult to achieve after one learns how to make practical use of creative imagination. That's true. There's a friend of mine, it took him a while to figure it out, but he eventually made money in commercial real estate. 2008 subprime market collapse, fraud, market collapse. He went back to square A, right? But since he knew how to make money, he already knew how to make it. He just had to reapply that in a different locale, different way, different place, right? And got back up on his feet in a short period of time. The skill, right? Someone with an inventive turn of the mind is going to make a fortune and at the same time save thousands of lives by perfecting an automatic railroad crossing control that will reduce the number of automobile accidents on crossings. Anything, right? What did I see recently? This is really silly. A portable basket. You play basketball? I guess you buy it, and it's a basket with ball in it. And the rim is slightly larger than the existing rim. So you throw it with the ball, throw the basket part with the ball in it up onto the existing rim. And if you play in parks or outside, there's oftentimes no basket, right? No net, I should say. And you play, and then when you're done, throw the ball up through it and it pops it out. I go, that's great. I just saw that. It just came out, but that's imaginative, right? Those are the people that actually make money. It's amazing. Some of the dumbest, like a Post-it note, a Post-it, it's a piece of paper with stick-em on it. I guess people were tired of just leaving notes all over the desk. So maybe I've run out of desk room. How about if I stick it? And those Post-it notes made that person or people millionaires. Imagination is the most important factor entering into the art of selling. There you go. The master salesperson is always one who makes this systematic use of imagination. Outstanding merchant relies upon imagination for their ideas make his business excel, right? And so forth and so on. Hotheads go with cold feet. He who loses his temper is usually a bluffer, and when called is a quitter. True, did you ever notice that? People get in a fight, they're all hothead, they're getting in your face. They're not the first to swing, or the first to run away when there's tension becomes real. I think that's it. Great achievement is usually born of great sacrifice and is never the result of selflessness. And is never the result of selfishness. Yeah, because you're always looking to come up with a solution that will help people. And if you can do that, that's where you can make your most money. How about that one? Next one is enthusiasm, right? Have some enthusiasm. So that's it for now. Until next time, be good people.